all weight loss comes down to one thing. Any approach that leaves you feeling hungry is not going to work long term. Key principle is making sure you're eating the right amount for you. 20% of your food can come from those unhealthy foods. So you can burn a surprising amount of calories just by upping your overall activity level. The problem we find with kind of banning foods completely is, hello and welcome to the Trinity Fit Over 40 podcast with me, Ben Hughes. I am one of the co-founders of Trinity Transformation and a creator of the Fit Over 40 method. And together with our world-class coaching team, we have helped more than 7,000 women over 40 to fit back into their favorite clothes over the past decade. To find out more about what we do, go to www.fit40info.com. So many women over 40 believe that they have to cut out a lot of their favorite foods in order to lose weight. Having this mindset can make long-term weight loss feel really unsustainable. If you have to cut out all your foods, if you have to cut out everything you enjoy, you end up just living on salad and chicken and soups and these kind of air quotes diet foods, which lots of plans and programs will recommend. For a lot of people, that's not sustainable. They don't like the idea of never being able to enjoy their favorite foods again. And what that means is people can stick to these type of diets for a short period of time, and then eventually they go off track. They go back to normal. They find that all the weight comes piling back on again. They are left still struggling to fit into their favorite clothes. They have this extra pounds creeping on around the middle area, and they're stuck wondering, how can I actually lose this weight, get to my ideal weight, and more importantly, maintain those results long term. The good news is you don't have to give up all of your favorite foods in order to see results. And by doing that, you can find a much more sustainable balance where you can eat the foods you enjoy, but you can still see results whilst enjoying what you eat. And by doing that, that means that's something you can sustain for life, not just for a short period of time on a diet. And that means then your results can also be sustained for life. We have helped more than 7,000 women to lose weight without banning their favorite foods. And in today's episode, I'm going to give you some of our top tips and tricks that we've learned over the past decade, which will hopefully help you to start seeing some results around menopause and, more importantly, be able to maintain those results long term. The first thing I want to focus on is when it comes to losing weight around menopause, there are two main areas that you need to focus on. By focusing on these areas, if you get this right, you'll be able to see fast results, you'll be able to see sustainable results, and we've helped thousands of women see results just by focusing on these two things. The first one is exercise. So getting things right specifically for women in menopause, doing the right type of exercise, not wasting time on the wrong types of exercise. And the second thing to focus on is nutrition, which is based around eating the right amount of foods and also eating the right balance of foods, making sure you're eating the right macronutrients, focusing on the right food choices and avoiding some of the food choices which are ultimately going to slow your progress down and stop you seeing results. So in this episode, I'm going to cover in detail exactly what to do with exercise and exactly what to do with nutrition, how to put that all together. And then hopefully with those tips, you'll be able to start seeing some results and start getting towards being your ideal weight. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of the basics of weight loss. And this might be something that you know already, but you really need to make sure you're eating the right amount. All weight loss comes down to one thing, and that is a calorie deficit. And what that means is burning more energy on a day-to-day basis than you consume. Like, it makes a lot of sense that, if you put too much food in on a day-to-day basis, your body has to do something with all of the additional energy for that food. What your body does with that is it stores it away as body fat. And around menopause, when women go through a lot of hormonal fluctuations, you will be a lot more susceptible to storing that stored body fat around the middle area. So many women in menopause find that their waistline is expanding. They're suddenly developing this kind of menopause belly that they didn't have before. And that's going to happen if you are over consuming on food and calories on a day-to-day basis. The first element of weight loss is making sure you're eating the right amount for you, which means not eating too much, because that will cause you to gain weight, but also not eating too little, because I'll cover in a second, in menopause, this can actually make it more difficult for your body to see results. So it's really important around menopause because your body becomes more sensitive to stress. This happens with age, but also is specifically more of an issue for women going through menopause than for men. This can basically make it more difficult to lose weight and tone up. So it's really key to manage the stress hormone which is called cortisol. So if something stressful happens to you, whether that's a stressful day at work, a stressful family event, even if you just push yourself in a really stressful, intense workout, or if you starve yourself and you really reduce calories down, the body perceives all of these things as sources of stress. And they're all kind of contributing factors. They are not like isolated things. They all add up together. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you're sleep deprived, you're also stressed at work, you're also stressed about situations in your family life, then you haven't got much tolerance left to then go and do a load of stressful workouts. On the other hand, somebody who sleeps perfectly, has a very, relaxed work schedule and doesn't have any stress in their family life, they might be able to get away with a more stressful approach in terms of workouts. So it's about finding what works for you. But typically, the women we work with tend to be quite high performers. They tend to be doing quite well in terms of career, but that can also come with managing a lot of people, dealing with a lot of stress. So they're taking on a lot of stress, long working hours on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, having an approach which is low stress is going to yield much better results than having an approach which causes you additional stress. So this is the reason that starving yourself and doing loads of cardio can backfire. It raises levels of that stress hormone cortisol, and it makes your body basically hold on to body fat rather than allowing that to be burnt off, which is ultimately what we're trying to do. Burn off body fat, reduce body fat, tone up, drop dress size, all those great things that people are looking for when they come to work with us. So instead, around menopause, you basically need to follow a smarter approach. And this is going to consist of two things. Number one, as I already mentioned, the right type of exercise. So what I would recommend is going to be list and daily movement. I'll detail exactly what that is in a second. And the second thing is a balanced approach for food. And I'll tell you, exactly how you can really get away with still enjoying eating everything you want, but also be able to step on the scales at the end of the week and see your weight going down. Covering exercise first. There's two elements to this, list and daily movement. So when I say list, what I mean is LIST, or low impact strength training. This is the type of training that we use with all of our clients. We've coached over 7,000 women at this point, and we exclusively use this type of training with our clients. We don't get them doing high intensity cardio. We don't get them doing running or spinning or gym classes or anything like that, because we found that doing cardio exercise doesn't necessarily yield very good results for women around menopause. The best results you will get is from lifting weights or doing low impact strength training. What this basically consists of is lifting weights in a slow and controlled way. So typically it'll be exercises like squats, deadlifts, rows, push-ups, overhead presses, but lifting and moving weight in a slow and controlled way. It can be done from home with very basic equipment. Most of our clients use kettlebells from home. So you might need 3 different kettlebells and that's it. So you don't need a gym membership. You don't need to go to a gym and have access to absolutely tons of equipment. But by doing this type of training, it has a few benefits. Number one is it will build muscle. So strength training builds muscle. Building muscle will keep your metabolism higher. So the more muscle mass you have, the faster your metabolism, which is why people who have more muscle mass find it easier to stay lean. And the other thing that will happen is when you do a strength training workout, you're basically kind of, in a good way, breaking down your muscles. So you're causing kind of minor damage to your muscles, but that signals to your body that you want to build muscle and you want to get stronger, so that the next time you do that workout, you'll be stronger than the previous time. That process of building muscle is something which requires calories. So it's like imagine your body as a house. When you do a strength training workout, you've kind of damaged that house a bit. You've kind of taken a sledgehammer, kind of bashed a few holes in the outside of your house. So what you need to do then, what happens then is your body will rebuild that damage. It will come along. It's like a team of workmen or tradespeople coming along and then repairing all of that damage bit by bit. And that process of your body repairing that kind of minor damage to your muscles takes calories as well. So when you're recovering from strength training workouts, your body will be burning additional calories to help you recover from those sessions. Essentially, strength training workouts will help you burn lots of calories. They will also help you build muscle, which will speed up your metabolism. And this will help you feel firmer, help you feel more toned, help you be stronger, and help you maintain your kind of mobility, your physical level of activity. You can keep up with your kids, grandkids, whatever it is. One other kind of bonus health related is it will just as people get older, you've probably heard about muscle loss. You will start losing muscle mass as you get older, but if you are doing strength training, you will combat that and you will help maintain or even build your muscle mass, and it will also help you build your bone density. People also often ask us, if they're just doing weight training, is this going to be enough to maintain their health and maintain a good level of cardiovascular fitness? The answer to that is yes. So if your strength training and your workouts are structured in the correct way, as they are in our Fit Over 40 program, you'll still elevate your heart rate during those sessions. You will still get a cardio benefit doing those sessions as well. So I can't stress enough how much lifting weights and low impact strength training is. It's the one thing. If you're going to change one thing, that would be the one thing I would recommend. As a woman over 40, if you're looking to lose weight and tone up, I wouldn't recommend you actually start with nutrition. I would recommend you start with the strength training, because not only will it help you tone up and lose the weight, it will also improve your long-term health at the same time. It has so many other benefits. The other thing I'd recommend outside of doing list training would be upping your overall activity level. So you can burn a surprising amount of calories just by upping your overall activity level. Doing 5,000 steps per day, each 1,000 steps that you do each day burns about 40 calories. So if you add 5,000 steps per day to what you normally do, and we work with people who are quite sedentary and they do maybe 2,000, 3,000 steps per day. If you add an additional 5,000 to that, you're burning an extra 200 calories per day. If you do that over the full 7-day week, you'll be burning about 1,400 additional calories per day in a low stress way that doesn't raise levels of that stress hormone, cortisol, and it pairs really well with that kind of low impact strength training. The other benefit of it is getting out on a walk on a day-to-day basis generally will help bring that overall stress level down. If you're getting out in the fresh air, you're hopefully, if you can get to somewhere where you can see a bit of nature as well, that's going to bring your stress level down, and that's going to help you with losing weight at the same time. It's also going to be really fantastic for your overall mental health and your well-being, and just getting your body moving is just really, really good for you, essentially. You'll just feel better by adding in those steps per day, as well as helping you get results. So this combination, the low impact strength training and upping that activity level, will help create a calorie deficit without overloading the body with stress, and it will help you build muscle, maintain muscle mass, increase your metabolism. That is the ultimate combination, I would say, for women around menopause. Imagine living in a home that you've cherished for years.
You've done your best to keep it in good condition,
but no matter how much you clean, paint, or repair,
the problems keep piling up.
The cracks are showing, the roof is leaking, and it feels like everything is getting worse despite your best efforts.
For many women, losing weight around menopause feels just like that.
You've tried diets, workouts, and advice,
but the results don't come and the frustration keeps growing.
That's where our Fit Over 40 private coaching program comes in.
Think of us as your expert renovation team.
We know exactly how to fix the root issues, rebuild your confidence, and create lasting results, just like restoring a home to its best condition.
If you're ready to finally see results that last, click the link in the description below now. Let us help you restore the body and the life you deserve.
So once you've got that sorted, the second thing is then looking at nutrition. So there's a couple of parts to nutrition. There's about 3 things I'm going to cover. The first one is how to still eat the foods you enjoy and how to sort of manage your food choices. So I would say, a lot of approaches will say you have to cut out certain food groups completely. Some diet plans will be low carbs, low fats. Some will say no junk food. You can't go out for restaurants. There'll be lots of rules about things you can't do. But what I really believe and what we do with all our clients is we follow a more kind of moderate approach, which allows everything in moderation. So we use an approach that we call WODs, which are wheat, alcohol, dairy, and sugar. So these foods, where you'll typically find these foods is going to be in more kind of processed foods. They're going to be quite high calorie foods. They're going to be foods which are not necessarily going to help you achieve your goals if you're looking to lose weight and tone up. So what we recommend is reducing these foods, not banning them completely, and that will basically help you see the best possible results. We like to use the kind of WODs approach. It's, in a way, it's kind of oversimplifying things, but the simpler you can make this. If you don't make this simple enough, it's not going to be easy to stick to. If it's not easy to stick to, you're not going to stick to it long term. So again, I would say moderate those foods: wheat, alcohol, dairy, sugar, or WODs. The problem we find with kind of banning foods completely is when people are told they're not allowed something, they almost kind of want to have it more, or they get into this kind of starving and binging pattern, or they'll find they have sort of increased cravings for those foods, where maybe they have something sugary or they have that alcoholic drink, and then they feel kind of a sense of guilt from that. They feel that they've failed. They feel that they've kind of, it's all gone out the window. There's this kind of all or nothing mindset that a lot of people have. And we find this a lot. You see this a lot with kind of people who are quite high achievers. They have very high standards for themselves. And that's how they've managed to climb the career ladder and be really successful in life. But they apply those same high standards then to their nutrition. So if they fail, if they let themselves down, it creates a big kind of negative emotion for them. And then that negative emotion can transfer for people who struggle. People who struggle with their weight. Typically, either food or alcohol is going to be a bit of kind of a vice for them. So they'll find that it pushes them towards eating more unhealthy food or drinking more alcohol to deal with those sort of negative emotions. So by allowing a more moderate approach where nothing is banned, you kind of escape from that sort of binging and sort of craving cycle, because you can enjoy everything you want. You can have a glass of wine, you can have a little bit of cake, a few biscuits, some chocolate, whatever it is you like, some crisps, without having to feel guilty about it, without having to feel bad about it. So the first thing is making sure that you're sticking most of the time to high quality, sort of single ingredient, non-processed foods. I'll cover kind of what that looks like later. The second key principle is making sure you're eating the right amount for you. Eating too much will create that caloric surplus. Your body will have too much energy that it doesn't know what to do with, and it will store that as body fat, which is the opposite of what you want to achieve. If you eat too little, combine that with a stressful lifestyle, that can also raise levels of your stress hormone cortisol, which can stall weight loss, and it can cause your body to hang on to that excess weight, especially around the middle area. So it's about finding that sweet spot, the sort of Goldilocks amount, which is you're eating enough to fuel your body, but you're still in a slight calorie deficit. Our coaches inside our Fit Over 40 program basically figure out what this right amount is for our clients. They will give them an exact specific target for them of what to achieve in terms of how much food to have. And our clients will eat that food, and that will help them. They'll just be seeing results. Every week, they'll just be seeing their weight just steadily and slowly going down in a nice sort of sustainable way. But the key thing is finding that sweet spot for you. And this can vary from person to person because, everybody's a different weight, everybody's a different height. People have different dieting history. Some people have, certain medical history, which might change the amount of calories they need. But you need to basically find the right amount for you, your body, your hormones, your situation. And if you eat that right amount for you, that's what's going to give you those nice, consistent, fast, but also very sustainable results. So one of the other problems that we see people run into with any kind of dieting approach is hunger or sort of craving unhealthy foods. I believe that, any approach that leaves you feeling hungry is not going to work long term, because it ultimately then relies on willpower. It relies on you feeling hungry and deciding not to eat. And, I don't know about you, but it's not a very nice position to have to be in from my point of view. So any approach that leaves you feeling hungry, I don't think is going to work. And you can just discount that from being sort of a long-term solution. So one of the best ways to stay full and to avoid feeling hungry is to make sure that you're eating. There's a couple of key food groups which are going to keep you feeling very full, very satisfied. So we talked about the WODs foods, the wheat, alcohol, dairy, sugar. What we do with our clients is we basically say 20% of your food can come from those unhealthy foods, meaning that each day you might fit in a glass of wine, a few crisps, whatever it is you want, a little square of chocolate, something like that. 20% of your food comes from those slightly unhealthier foods. And then the other 80% of food is going to come from non-processed healthy foods. And the key things to focus on, which are going to keep you feeling full, the number one thing is protein. If you raise the amount of protein you're eating, protein is extremely satiating. I mean, it basically signals to your brain and signals to your body that you are feeling full and that you are feeling satisfied. So when you eat a very high protein meal, you'll feel very full, and it will keep you feeling full for a long period of time. If you imagine eating a huge piece of steak, or 2 chicken breasts, something that's very high in protein, you can imagine how full you feel after that. It might even be difficult to get through that plate of food. But then you imagine something which has virtually no protein in it. So let's say, imagine a bag of crisps or a bowl full of French fries. Those types of foods, which are typically made of lots of carbs, lots of fat, very easy to eat. And you can eat a lot of those foods without necessarily feeling hungry. They're very Moorish as well. And you can just munch through thousands of calories without necessarily feeling full or satisfied. So by switching things up and having more protein or building your meals around protein sources, you will feel a lot more full and a lot more satisfied on a day-to-day basis. And that makes for very sustainable, maintainable weight loss. The other thing you want to add onto your plate as well to feel full and feel satisfied, and that can really bulk out your meals, is making sure you're including lots of vegetables and a big, wide variety of vegetables. The great thing about vegetables, number one, they contain fiber, and fiber helps keep you feeling full and satisfied as well. So combining that with protein, that's a real kind of 1-2 punch that will make you feel very, very satisfied and full from the meal that you've eaten. And the other thing is vegetables are, for the amount of food you get in vegetables, they're quite low in terms of calories. So you can have a really large portion of vegetables without adding too much calories onto your plate of food. So if you mainly build your meals around having a big source of protein on the plate, lots of vegetables on the plate, maybe then a little bit of carbs on the side, some potatoes, rice, whatever it is, and then some healthy fats, could be avocado, olive oil, whatever it is. If you build your meal though around the protein and the vegetables, you'll find that you feel very full. You control your hunger, you control your cravings, but still, as we said, you can still allow that flexibility in your diet, so you can still enjoy your favorite foods guilt-free. But following this type of approach, you can kind of eat what you like, but still see the results. The other thing that's really key, I think, in order to make sure your nutrition plan is sustainable, is making sure it doesn't take too much time and effort. So a lot of diets fail because they just demand too much time and effort. They want you to basically, lots of approaches want you to cook from scratch every single day, prepare every meal from scratch, which can be very time consuming, creates lots of washing up, creates lots of extra work for you, and is not ideal if you're somebody who is out of the house early, gets home late, has a very busy job. You're probably also then cooking for multiple people at the same time. You've got loads of other chores and stuff to do around the house. You don't have time necessarily to sit down and prep all of these fussy, difficult, healthy meals on a day-to-day basis. So there's a few tips which can really help with this. One of them I would say would be simplifying some of your meals. What I tend to do, which works really well, is I will simplify my kind of breakfast and lunch and have a very similar thing. Usually breakfast, I will have either oats with a protein shake and some berries on top, or I will have an omelette. That's kind of my breakfast. So I don't really have to think about it. I just have the same thing, and it's like a quick 5-minute meal to make. Lunch, I'll then typically have leftovers from a previous dinner early in the week to kind of cut the effort completely down for the lunch. And then dinner in the evening, that is where I might spend a little bit more time cooking something from scratch. And typically I will make, again, more portions than I need, meaning that the next day I've still got something left over, which is going to be high in protein and tick all those boxes, which I can then have for my lunch meals. So I would say, first of all, it's about kind of having the know-how and the knowledge to really streamline the process of healthy eating. And, for our clients, because everybody has different tastes, everybody likes different foods and has different routines. But all of our clients have a one-to-one coach who can basically help them figure out what works best for them, what works best in their particular situation and in their particular schedule. But as well as that, we also understand there are going to be times when you literally don't have time, or you don't have the time or the energy or the willpower to make something from scratch and make something healthy every night. And because of that flexible eating approach that I've talked about before, where 80% comes from the healthy sort of unprocessed stuff, 20% you can allow more flexibility. Because of that flexible 20%, if you need to grab a ready meal, that's absolutely fine. If you need to just do something super quick, super easy, low effort, you can do that. You can just have a load of snacks in the evening. You can have a ready meal. You can have something very quick without having to go and prepare loads of vegetables and, get the potato peeler out and all of those kind of things. And by having that flexibility and that opportunity to not have to stick 100% to a really kind of a strict meal plan or anything like that, like lots of approaches will do, it makes it a lot more sustainable. And, nobody sets out to try and lose weight and then regain the weight just a couple of months later or in a year's time. Regaining weight is very, very difficult because, losing weight in the first place can be quite exciting, quite motivated. You can feel quite inspired. When you've regained the weight, you'll really feel a lot of negative emotions and a lot of feelings of failure, that you've let yourself down, that you've wasted your time and energy that you spent losing the weight. And now you've undone all of those results. And then re-losing that same weight again, I think takes a lot more effort than it took to lose the weight in the first time. And that can really, really leave people in a bad place where it's very difficult to then lose that weight again for the second time. If you can find a way to lose the weight, sustain that, and then just maintain those results long term, it's much, much easier. You'll be able to kind of keep that off for a long period of time. The final secret to success really is consistency. And I will always say the best plan is the one you can stick to. So, if I was to create the most effective plan for someone to follow, it probably would be quite strict, quite difficult, lots of workouts, quite complicated. But that would be the most effective approach. However, you've got to put that to one side and ask yourself the question, is this actually sustainable? Can somebody actually stick to this? So what really helps and works better, we found, is just making an approach which is very effective, but also very simple, very easy to stick to, very easy to stay consistent with. And when you combine that really easy, flexible, simple plan with also having coaching and accountability, having someone to keep you on track, when you're going through a tough period in life, when you're overly stressed, when you have a big work deadline to meet, when you have somebody else there to help you manage those situations and work through those situations and keep you on track, regardless of what you've got going on in your life, it really makes it much, much more likely that you're going to succeed. And that's one of the things I think that's helped so many of our clients to see results. When we looked at our kind of stats recently, we found that 97% of our clients lost weight within their first 12 weeks. And the average weight loss within those 12 weeks was 12.9 pounds. So we've been able to deliver really consistent results for our clients, not only by giving them a plan that works, a plan that's easy to stick to, but also having that one-to-one accountability and one-to-one support can make such a massive, massive difference, especially for women around menopause who have struggled with this for a long period of time. To wrap this up, losing weight in menopause is 100% possible without giving up your favorite foods. It's all about finding the right balance. So doing the right type of exercise, finding a flexible eating approach, which allows you to still enjoy the foods that you like and not have to give everything up. And then being consistent with that and having the support and the accountability that you need to stay on track. And if you're tired of struggling, if you've been struggling with this for a while and you just want to know exactly what to do, and you want the help and support that thousands of women have used to achieve their goals and maintain their goals around menopause. If you want to find out more about our Fit Over 40 coaching program, head over to www.fit40info.com and you can find all of the details of what we do on that page. That just about wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
If you're fed up with trying everything and seeing no results,
Watching your weight creeping up and struggling to fit into your clothes,
and you're looking for the fastest and easiest way to get your ideal weight
and never have to worry about your weight or health again,
you can save yourself years of trial and error by letting us take care of the hard work for you in our Fit Over 40 private coaching program.
Over the past decade, our world-class team have personally guided more than 7,000 women to take back control of their health and confidence, and more importantly, maintain those results for life.
If you're ready to finally get results that last and find out how we can help you do that too, click the link in the description below to get the full details now.